When it comes to my resistance bands workout, I get the question as to why don't I do banded push-ups or using resistance bands with my push-ups in my programming. Now, I've covered this in a couple other videos, but there are three main reasons I'm going to cover here as to why I don't use resistance bands. And as a quick note, I'm referring to loop resistance bands. If you use it with the tube bands, I'm not sure how you do it, but I'm referring to loop resistance bands here. So the first one is that if you put the resistance bands through or across your palms so that they're on the floor with the band going through it on either side, to me, it's very uncomfortable, especially as you get to the larger or bands that can provide more resistance. As you're pushing up in the push-up, that band will wrap around your palm and outer hand, and it is just really, really uncomfortable and something I've never liked. This is even true when using something like resistance bands gloves. So I do have the Undersun gloves that I've used in the past, and even when using those, I just don't like it. And I'd say this is the number one reason why I don't do banded push-ups. Now, it doesn't mean they aren't a tool you could use, but it is the number one reason I veer away from it. Now, the second reason I don't like banded push-ups is that when you go down, so as you lower closer to the floor, the resistance on the band can be lessened to where it doesn't exist at all if you go low enough. And because of that, when it gets so loose, it can actually shift on your back up and down. Now, I do have something called a band guard that'll actually help with this, so it keeps the band together on your back. But even so, if all the tension was removed, it has the potential to change position on your back if you lose all tension. So if you do decide to have this in your programming, make sure there is some tension across your back to keep it from sliding up and down. Now, the third reason I don't really like the banded push-up is getting into it. So basically the main setup of this exercise is a bit awkward. So of course you're going to put the band up around your back and around your shoulders through the palms, and then you have to actually get into position where your palms are flat on the floor with the band pushing down. Now, how do you do this when the band and your hands are up by your shoulders and you now have to get into position? You either have to kind of like fall forward, you could try starting laying on the ground and like rolling into position, or maybe you just lay flat down, face down towards the floor and try getting it around your back and then pushing out. So there's a couple of ways you could try it, but honestly, it's just a little awkward to get into. No, it's not impossible. If you're using lighter bands, it's not as bad as you can actually push forward first and then try and get into it. But do know as you get into heavier and heavier bands or stronger bands, it can be a bit awkward to even try and get into the position to start doing the push-up. So I do have a couple alternatives to this exercise. One would be the chest press with the bar, and the other one is with the handles. Now, when I use the handles, I actually lay across my step platform so that it's on the floor. Makes it a little easier to have a bit of pre-stretch in the band and push out. Can be a little awkward in the setup with the back, but overall I like it more than trying to get into banded push-ups. Now, the only reason or only way I'd ever go into banded push-ups is if they were able to make something with your hands that made it so it didn't go strictly across your palms. I've tried with the J-hook handles and stuff, but it's not very comfortable. So if they come out with something that is easy to set up, that goes across your palms and allows you to do the banded push-ups properly, I may look into it again. But with all that said, if you like doing banded push-ups, by all means, keep doing it in your programming. Just make sure you don't lose all the tension. That way it stays in place and each one of your reps is the same so that you can focus on getting more and more out of it over time. Now, if you want a look at my complete home gym setup with my resistance bands, take a look at the video on screen so you can see if it is right for you.